when you are thinking about how you're doing your work, how you're living your life, the reason why we do meditation. So some of the wealthiest people, like Ray Dalio, he talks about meditation. He said that helped him out a lot, like during his hard times when he's building his, $1 billion portfolio, management portfolio. It's a very up and down cycle, especially in the stock market. When you're playing the investment game, you could be up 100K, next thing you know, down 50K, right? So you don't know when you're making money, but how do you keep yourself grounded? This is a grounding process, meaning you don't let your mind wander. When you're stressed in life, you don't let your mind wander from one thing to the next. You control what you think. This is like a practice of controlling what you think. So meditation, 5 minute gratitude. Um, Usually when I start saying it out loud, because we are the only creature in the world that's able to use our voice to express how we feel, in a very like conscious way. We're the only creature that's able to do that, to communicate vocally with our voice, to each other and to the world. That's God giving us that voice, right? So we have to use it. So sometimes you say gratitude moments in your mind, it doesn't impact you very strongly. So I recommend, when you're doing your gratitude moments in your home by yourself in a quiet place, 5 minutes every day is, I think, it's a good start. But I usually do 10, but 5 minutes seems like forever. Who thought it was? Who seemed like, man, this 5 minutes is pretty long. Like I can't close my eyes. Like sometimes I feel that way. I'm like, yeah, I can't close my eyes. That's because your brain is still racing. So, I'm grateful that everyone's here joining me today, to share in this moment. Changing our lives slowly, one day at a time. So today, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about, you know, this past Father's Day. Yesterday, a friend of ours came and visit, and she has a very close friend in her family, and her friend's father had a heart attack on Father's Day, and they weren't able to make it to the hospital in time. And so by the time they got to the hospital, he was already like paralyzed half his body. He had a stroke, and there was pretty much, the doctor, there was nothing else the doctor could do, right? On Father's Day, he was laying on bed, and they were keeping him on life support. And by like 11 at night, she texted me. Well, she texted my wife anyway, and she was like, "Yeah, they were able to pull. They had to pull life support because if they try to save him, drill a hole in his brain. He was only like 70 something, so he's pretty young. I mean, but 75 good years, right? 70 something good years of life, but you don't know when your life's going to end. And so they lost a father that day, on Father's Day, which is not the best thing to celebrate. But it also reminds me, I asked her, so after visiting him, because they both have two kids, her husband too as well. I asked her husband what was one of the things that um, he find, what's the meaning that he found out of it. And he says, I think I just be intentional with what I do. Yes, I'm busy. They have a business that they run. They do architectural consulting. So big companies come to them to help them, to ask them to help with like engineers, architect, to draft up plans for the actual construction work. And so he says, you just got to be intentional with what you do, because sometimes we waste a lot of time because, like, oh, I don't feel like it, or we choose the wrong thing to spend our time in because we don't think about it. And so that was it reminded me that, yeah, you have to be intentional with your time. Like sometimes we go with the flow. Anyone ever heard of going with the flows? Raise a hand. Who ever heard of going with the flow? Are you going with the flow right now in your life? Who's going with the flow in their life right now? If you are, you don't want to do that, because sometime when you're going with the flow, think about this. When people are going with the flow, they don't have a clear vision or a clear path in their life. So a river is flowing. So life is a river. A lot of people compare it to a river because it will always flow. No matter what you do, you cannot stop life. You cannot stop time. And so going with the flow means you letting the river pull you forward. And you don't know where the river is going to take you. There could be some jagged rocks. There could be a waterfall. There could be, there could be a pot of gold. Who knows? But the river is carrying you because you don't have a clear path on where you want to go. Instead of taking control of the boat, you letting the river flow and carry you wherever it takes you. And honestly, going with the flow means you have no control of your life. You're not taking control. And sometimes you feel like you don't have control. And the truth is we there's not a lot of things that we don't have control of. And so, it doesn't make sense to me when I hear that because I was talking to someone close to me and they're like, "Yeah, I'm just going with the flow." And I'm like, what does that mean? I heard that so many times, but I didn't understand. And I asked her, I was like, "What's so do you know what you want?" And she was like, "No, I'm just going with the flow." And I'm like, "Dude, that's not I don't want to live like that because the river could be taking me into, a waterfall and then next I would crash and burn." But when you take control, you can lead it into different areas, right? Like, oh, hey, this side of the river is a little bit calmer. Here, I can probably get some success. I can lead it. So you have to lead your life versus going with the flow. And it comes down to being intentional because at the end of the day, when I think about death, right, we don't see death very often. Like for me, I'm still a little young, but I know that that's coming. As you age, you will see more death. Our friends are in their like 40 something, 50 already, and now they're seeing parents pass away. They're seeing grandparents pass away. They've seen friends pass away. And eventually more people will pass away and then you will eventually be gone too. So all your friends that you know will eventually go. So you have to ask yourself, what are you doing that it matters to you, right? We all got to make money. We all got to go to work. But what are you doing that matters to you, right? So you have to ask yourself that question. So how are you being intentional with your time? What are you doing? Watching Netflix and chill for 6 hours because you're on a binge, or you watch one episode and then you go do something that's more meaningful for yourself, right? Connections. So for me, it's connection, connecting with people, connecting with my children, connecting with God. Honestly, if you believe in God, you connect with God. Uh, and when I refer to as connection with God, actually connection with anyone requires effort, even connection with God. If you do not go to church and if you don't listen to the Bible or read the Bible often, or you don't do it intentionally, some people go to church because it's a chore. And if you think that everything that you're doing, like spending time with your friend, is a chore, then there's no connection into that. Like for example, think about a relationship that you want to build and cultivate, with friends or business partner or someone that you want to learn from. You want to see them more consistently. Like if we're here every single week, we will start building a connection and then we will start changing each other's mind and changing each other's life because we all are talking about the same thing, which is we want to have a better life. We want to live better and want to operate better. So you have to be intentional. So I appreciate you guys showing up and being intentional, being here. But you want to take control of your life, take control of the ship that you have. And that, because honestly, you don't have any other choice. If you don't take control, life will take control for you. And I think last week I talked about the week before that I talked about like life being accountable for you. Uh, no matter what, you'll have accountability. You either have a reward or a punishment, a consequence. And if you don't take control of your life now, if you're holding back on doing something because you're like, oh, it hurts, or I'm not feeling good, or you're making a lot of excuses, or I'm not good at it. Honestly, I think everybody's capable enough to do it. It's just the opportunities present to you in front of you, and you're just afraid to take that next step. All right. So being intentional with your time and take control of your ship because that's the only ship you got. God gave you a ship because there's some people that don't have options. I met there was this one gentleman that I met. His name was Nick Senatoro. He was born with like no legs, one arm, and then the other arm is just kind of missing. Like he had an elbow for an arm. I can send you guys the Instagram, but you guys get the message. There's a bunch of people out there like that, And his father, when they were born, man, I'm like, dude, that's probably the greatest dad ever, because that child grew up and had to struggle with, like, imagine you have a child like that, or you were that person. How would you live your life? Like, do you say your life is over? I have no life? Or you say, I have to do something with this life I got. And so his father made him put on his own clothes, make him climb on his own bed, feed himself, you know. So his dad said, you have to do it because nobody else will. You have to do it because nobody else will. You have to do it yourself because nobody else will. And I know the guy got, like, I don't know, 2, 3 million followers on Instagram, and he speaks in front of millions of people to teach them how to live differently because of the I guess I would say the gift that he has, which is, we think, for people who don't see it as a gift, they see it as a burden. And so for him, he's an inspiration for others. At the end of the day, it's an inspiration for others to live their life better and to keep going, because life is hard. His life is 10 times harder because he can't seem to walk the right way. He can't experience the same experience we have. He doesn't have arms, so when he eats, he has to do certain things to eat. Um, and just brushing your teeth, climbing out of bed, like, it becomes 10 times harder. So you have to use. So his gift is that he gives perspective. So every one of you have a gift that you can give out to the world. You have to think about that. What gift do you have? Um, and I want to talk about the legacy that you leave because of your gift. So we're here building this. We're building this Amazon business, this online business, but we're also thinking about building other businesses. We work because we're trying to save up money to do the things we care about. But what other legacy are you planning to leave, right, for yourself? Have you ever, I don't know if anyone here ever thought about legacy. I know, Teresa, you thought about legacy, right? Ben, you thought about legacy, leaving a legacy. Men, have you thought about leaving a legacy yet since you're a new dad? Um, so there's a family. Everybody heard of the Rockefeller family? There's the Rothschild family. All these family members they're like, I mean, 400 billion, wealth, probably, I don't know, $1 trillion, but they've been keeping their family's wealth for about 400 years. And the Rockefellers, it's generational wealth. And when we talk about generational wealth, we talk about keeping the wealth for hundreds of years, not just 1 or 2 generations. The Vanderbilts, however, did the opposite. When the founder passed away, I mean, within 1 or 2 generations, all the money disappeared. Like, during the 1800s, the Vanderbilt, their estimated wealth was close to today's about 300 billion. And so, how do you burn through that? Well, just bad investment, bad spending habits, and just throwing your money around. So you compare yourself to, like, a Rothschild family who kept their wealth for 400 years in their family, to the Vanderbilt who pretty much squandered the wealth within 1 or 2 generations. What do you think is the difference? Does anyone know what the difference is? It's not the money, because money can come and go. Money is a tool. It's the mindset. At the end of the day, is how they think. So it's your mindset, your values, and your principles. We want. That's what I mean by legacy, right? When I think about legacy now, I don't think about uh, finances or houses. I got a bunch of houses, I got a bunch of money, but is that really a legacy that I'm going to leave back to my children? Because at the end of the day, you could be a Vanderbilt family, you have hundreds of millions of dollars, but your children don't know how to use it, or you don't know how to take care of it, right? For you to become a person that's wealthy, you have to be wealthy in the mind, meaning you have to operate at a place where, okay, I have to know how to manage my money. You have to be willing to sit there and study on how to manage your money, because people don't become good money managers because they wake up one day and be like, hey, I'm a great money manager. No, they learn how to manage their money. Why? Because they look at how much they spend and they look at how much they make. And the more you look at that every week, every other day, every month, like let's say you run your life as a business. Has everybody thought about running their life as a business? No? Nobody? Your kids are employees? Your wife is a partner? I suggest you consider that if you have a wife, a girlfriend, children, run your life like a business because some of it is the same, right? When you marry a woman, you want to marry or a man, right? You don't want to marry a man with debt because you're bringing that debt into your family or into your business, and that's bad debt. I'm not saying people don't have debt, but you got to make sure it's not like crazy debt, like some guy who just went and just pull out a bunch of credit card and just went out to like Vegas and just blew it, and now he has like 30 grand of debt. So you have to be conscious. Your life is a business. What you choose to spend your money on will affect how much money you have or how much money you're willing to make. So life is a business. Your life is a business. Your business is a business. So treat life like a business. Your kids are employees. How are you investing in your employees? How are you helping them grow? How are you and your partner? How are they contributing to the business? You know, I sometimes ask my kids like, so what are you contributing to the family? Like, they're like, I don't know, Not yet. They don't know yet. So if you have friends, think about how your friends are contributing to your life. There are friends that will be taking from you, and then there will be friends that will be giving to you, right? If there's a friend that are giving, they will give, they will lift your life up, and then you give more in return, right? We're in a business where we like to give, giving our time, giving our, money to charity, giving our efforts, giving our energy. And so the more you give, the more you would get in return. But there are people out there who are very close minded and they would just take. So evaluate your friends too, as well. Evaluate who you're around because I don't have a lot of friends. I have I have a handful of friends, and most of them, they're very good people. Um, they help when I need help. They give advice. They also have businesses, so I always ask about business advice. When it comes to health advice, I have friends that are very good on nutrition and health and exercising. If I have a bad shoulder or something, I would ask a friend of mine he's like a physical trainer. So he has all these because he's been doing it for a very long time. So he knows the body. He's like, oh yeah, this is what's going on, man. You just need to stretch it out and roll it, and you're good. And so you want to be conscious of who your friends are. Um, so takeaway for this is take care of your life as a business, and then the legacy. For me, the most important legacy is the mindset, the values, and the principle. How do you want to live your life, right? Have anyone written down their value, principle, or mission statement of their life? Have you guys ever considered that? Who has one? Who has one written? Oh, okay. Teresa got one. George, you got. George's like, I don't know. I never had one before. Okay, dude. You no, George. You have kids, right? Yeah, you have kids. Okay. Legacy is also identity. If you don't have the reason why a lot of people are so confused, uncertain of themselves, the reason why you're not confident is because you're not certain your identity. You're not certain what you're good at. Somebody else gave you a label in your life. Like I grew up, my dad wasn't really telling me what he was there but non-existent when it comes to the father game. I'm not hating on him, but I'm not blaming him. That's a fact. Like can't remember the last time he told me like, hey, don't do that with your life. You know, he's like, hey, don't do drugs. I never heard him say don't do drugs for me. Maybe that's why I went and did drugs. But the only person that was saying a lot of that stuff to me was my mom. But the thing was, I don't know, it's weird, man. Like she was just overly protective, and so she made me rebellious because she was always screaming down on me. And so at the end of the day, I rebelled against what she said. So I did drugs, I partied, I did a whole bunch of bad stuff, you know. there was a lot of things I did that wasn't good. I became a drug dealer for a while, and that was bad. Um, Luckily, I guess God kind of blessed me and said, "Okay, time to get out because somebody you're gonna get thrown in jail." Um, and a couple of close call moment, and it just makes you realize, like, hey, man, you got to get out. Don't do this. And so the reason why, at the end of the day, you don't know why you're not good at something, or you believe that you're not good at something, is because you don't have an identity. And if you guys are not certain right now, I suggest after this call, make it's the same thing as your vision board, but what is it that you want to be good at, right? Write down what it is that, or what you believe you're good at, or go ask a group of friends of yours, like, hey, what do you guys think I'm good at? Because sometimes you don't even know that you're good at it. As a parent, for me, I can look into my kids and I can see what they're good at without them even knowing. You're good at something already. You might be a great problem solver. Everyone has a gift. Remember that. Everybody is good at something. God didn't just make you to make you, right? You have a piece of greatness in you that you can share with the world. It's just you don't know if it's great. The reason why you're on this call is because you want to have a strong week. You want to be in control of the ship, taking control of this week, living your life with intention. That's why you're on this call. A lot of people, I mean, there's probably like 12 people here, but there's millions of people who are like confused, uncertain, a lot of self doubt, not sure what they want to do in life. It's because they don't know who they are. They don't have an identity. And so, who do you want to be, essentially? Like, write down what traits you want to have, what values you want to carry, what principles you want to live by. For me, like, my principle is like, act like a man. That's one of my principles, right? Act like a man. And a lot of people think about, what does act like a man mean? Like, and for a woman, like, what does act like a woman mean? Or act as a parent, what does that mean? Or act like this certain person. For me, is act like a man, because you can't. Sometime when hard things happen, you're afraid. You're still scared, right? Just because you're a guy, you're a man, doesn't mean you can be manly all the time. Just because you're big and muscular doesn't mean you're not afraid. Because there's men, strong men out there who will break down if something happened to their family member, to their close friends. So how can you be a man in during those times? It's just you have to act like it. You have to carry yourself a certain way. No matter what happened, you carry yourself that way. So for me, it's act like a man, right? That's one of my principles, my family values, and put God first, and then dream big, and never complain. Those are my family values. I have a thing that me and my kids and my wife, we all wrote it down together. It's like a little board. I can take a picture of it and I'll send it in the Discord and you guys can see. Like, that's my family value, my family mission. If you don't have family, that's okay. But what is your mission? What is your value that you want to live by? What is your principle that you want to live by? Because that's what you're going to carry and transfer to other. When you have kids, when you have a wife, when you have a husband, you guys want to have an alignment in all those areas, because for you to change your life, you got to have values and principles. We all have some values here. Some values might be in the wrong place. All right. So for me, it was mainly act like a man was probably, be an example is the second one. Set an example, because if you're telling people to do really hard things and you're not willing to do it, how can you be an example? So how can I be um, how can I be successful if I'm not like willing to wake up at 4:30, 5 a.m.? Well, honestly, you don't have to do that. I do that because that's just me. You don't have to wake up at 5 a.m., 4 a.m. to go work out. But for me, I prioritize health, and that's probably the best time for me to work out. And it shows my children that you have to wake up in the morning anyway, because the morning time is probably the best time for you to have a moment in your life that gives you time to think and process and be grateful. At the end of the day, being grateful is probably one of the hardest thing people tend not to do, right? One of the things that people forget to do. and I make it a process to do it every single day. So I want to. So here's some action items. So remember, your legacy is not money. Your legacy is what you think, how you operate, your values, your principles. Make like share that in the Discord group. Okay. So think of legacy, like how are you living your legacy? Because when you think of legacy, how you live right now will determine how you're going to become successful. Because if you have a legacy where your habits is, oh, I'm closed minded, like your value is, I'm closed minded, I don't need help from anybody. You think you're going to be successful? I guarantee you will not be successful, because it does not, you cannot do it alone. The only reason why I'm successful is because I work with people that help me along the way. I never said I was self made, because I'm not. Nobody's self made. Everybody keeps saying, oh, yeah, that guy's self made. This guy. No. Apple didn't, Steve Jobs didn't build Apple by himself. He had a partner. And also, he had team members. He was a great marketer. He was the leader, but he was not self made, because his parents also contributed to his life, right? You're fully yourself. You have an ego. You have pride. Get rid of all of that, because nobody is self made in this world, because somebody helped you along the way. From you were a child to the man you are today, the woman you are today, somebody helped you along the way and cultivated you, or said something to you that gave you some sense of confidence, some sense of identity. All right. So be grateful. Your legacy is the values and principles that you will carry within you and share to everybody else, to your children, to your wife, to your husband. Make sure you cultivate that. Find out, write that down, share with everyone one of the values that you want to live by, that you believe strongly. Uh, and I want to get back to, vision is the thing that gives your pain purpose. Has everybody heard of that before, or thought about that? Vision is the thing that gives your pain purpose. This journey is not easy, right? You know, doing this extra work on the side, um, taking time away from family, taking time away from your relaxation time, spending like an hour, 30 minutes, an hour a day just doing product research, which is like grueling, but you're learning something new. It's hard. It's painful. If you say it's not painful and uncomfortable, then you're lying, because it's not easy and not fun for me, to do those things. And it's not easy and fun to wake up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. I did not want to wake up this morning. I woke up like at 5:30. I did not want to get up. Um, there's days like that. I don't like taking cold showers, but I did it anyway. Um, I don't I don't like running. Cardio is probably something I dislike. I don't hate it, but I dislike it. I'm changing my wording, right? If I say I hate it, then I'll never do it. So I dislike it, but I still have to do it. Cardio is one of the things I don't like. I like to lift weights. So there's things that are painful in our life that you don't want to do. When it's painful, you don't want to do it. But if you have a vision for your life, so what is the vision that you want for your life is the next action item. Write down what's the vision for your life. You already have a vision board. What's the vision for your life? Share that in the Discord. What is the vision for your life? Because once you have a very clear, now your vision board has a lot of stuff on it. I don't recommend, like, oh, this is my vision for my life. I want a nice car. I want a big house. I want a lot of money. I want a beautiful wife. I want a beautiful husband. I want 5 kids. You know, that's too many. That's not clear enough. You need to be specific. One thing, one or two things. So, what is the vision for your life? Share that in the Discord. One or two things that's very powerful to you. Like, oh, I want to help my mom. Like for me, that was my vision. Like, I just want to help my parents. My mom was my vision. Like, oh, I want to donate like 100 grand to the church. I still haven't done that yet. I need to do that. That's my goal, to donate 100 grand to the church, and I'm gonna make that happen. I guess I could, but we'll see. But that was one of my vision when I was working, was like, I want to help my mom, and I want to, just make her proud by donating money to the church. And so be clear. So once you have a clear vision, then every painful thing that you do, every hardship that you go through will give purpose. It will have purpose for why you're doing it. Because sometimes, like for example, majority of people here, majority of everyone here, when they're working in their job, sometimes they don't like their job. Or most of the time, they don't like their job. Like men, you used to do nails, right? Yeah, but why did you hate it? It made good money. Yeah. Yes. So it makes it even more painful, right? And Teresa is in the legal field. She doesn't like it very much, right? Why don't you like your work, Teresa? Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Mm, yeah. Yeah. So that there's a pain in everything we do. It doesn't matter what job you have, there's a pain. But when you know that there's a purpose behind it, there's a vision, right? It makes the pain a little bit more bearable. That's why you continue to do it. There's a purpose. Teresa has a purpose for it. And some people didn't find any purpose, and so they just quit. You know, they just leave. They go switch jobs, and I've known a lot of that. Like my friend, I have a friend. Man, he grinds so hard to get a pharmacy degree. Like it was, it's the worst thing ever. Like it took him longer, than the normal student. So he was a super senior. Anyone who knows what a super senior is, it took a little bit longer. But he grinded out to be a pharmacist because his parents wanted him to be something in medical, and so he did. And when he graduated and went and got a job working for CVS, he called me. He was like, "Dude, I hate this job. I hate this so much." 3 months in, he was like, "Dude, I'm gonna quit." And then, 7 months later, he's like, "Dude, I quit. I'm tired of this shit. I hate this." And so he quit his job and he went into just selling online. He started making YouTube videos, making money off of YouTube. Now he's sitting at home doing crypto trading because he's like, man, I can make a lot of money doing this. But he still have a pharmacy degree. But that's how painful it was for him. And doing all the other stuff was painful as well, but he enjoyed that more. There was more purpose to his life because his vision for his life was, I want to have a positive outlook in my life. I want to be able to help my family. He also has 3 kids too. He didn't just quit his job when he had kids, right? He had kids. He has 2 kids at the time when he quit his job. Everybody was relying on him to make money. He quits his job. And so he believed enough in his vision to where the new thing that he was doing was painful, but he did it anyway, and he just kept going. And he found purpose that okay, I'm just gonna make YouTube videos reviewing cars. I'm going to crypto trade at home, sitting on the screen for like hours and hours and hours and hours. I don't know what's going on, but I'm willing to do it because it's like I'm gonna make my life better, make my family's life better. There was a big purpose behind why he's doing that. It was mainly for his family. Um, there was a lot of purpose behind the pain they had to go through of learning something new, right? It's easy to go work for CVS, but it was super painful for him having to deal with, sick people, annoying people, angry people, frustrated people. So your vision is the thing that will give your pain purpose. Make sure you have a clear vision. So those are two, to me, that's just the two action item starting this week. Be intentional. I guess my takeaway today would be intentional with your time because you don't know when that last moment will be. So anyone who joined us late, I talked about, my friend's friend father passed away on Father's Day. He had a heart attack. And so it's a reminder that you have to be intentional what you do. Don't eat and be on the phone at the same time. I had that habit before too. Now I stopped doing it. I've started practicing of like when I drive, I just listen to a podcast, but I don't look at my phone. I don't pick up phone calls. I don't send text messages because why do you need to do that? Is there an emergency? When you're in the toilet, you can be there for more than you need to be. The number two business doesn't take 5 to 20 minutes. You're in there watching some YouTube videos or reading something, and you're like, why am I here for so long? Right? That's because you're trying to multitask, and that will hinder your productivity. So be intentional with your time. If you want to watch TV, spend that time watching the show that you enjoy, and that's it. If your work time is from a certain time, train yourself to just do the work at that time. Don't do anything else. Shut off your phones, go put it away in a drawer. So what I do is I would put my phone in a drawer somewhere a little bit further away with on vibrate. And if anyone need anything that's important, they'll just message me through Messenger or through email or through um, Slack. I don't pick up phone calls during that time. And this is a process of training yourself to be more intentional with your time and also be more productive because when you get distracted, our brain get distracted very easily. So it makes us want to wander away from the work that we're doing, right? We need focus. To be successful, you have to be focused. Um, if you're not focused, you're gonna be all over the place and you'll never get anything done. So it's one thing at a time. Be intentional with your time because at the end of the day, it's the same thing if you have kids and you have someone you care about. You show up to their house, you're not there, there's no connection, right? You're on your phone while you're playing with your kids. Is that really connection time? No. You're thinking about work, you're thinking about something else. And Teresa talks about like her work bothered her so much that there was no moment where she didn't think about it. And that is very painful, but that's because Teresa allowed that to happen because you didn't change yourself to stop thinking about work, right? So this is a practice. So start by simply, so for me, how I started was uh, at the dinner table. That's it. I just put my phone somewhere else when I'm eating. Dude, like I will sit there for like 30 minutes just eating by myself on a kitchen table sometime. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to look at the phone anymore. Right? I decided like, okay, today I'm not going to look at my phone. And then slowly I just don't look at my phone anymore. When I drink coffee, I don't look at my phone. When I sit at kitchen table in the morning and do my gratitude, it's just me and my cup of coffee. I'm just sitting there. So it's a practice. Once you practice the habit of being intentional with your time and not being distracted by your phone, because right now the phone is what's distracting all of us away from doing what we need to do to get the work that we need to get work done. All right. Um, you guys have two action items, so definitely share your vision for your life this week in a Discord group. Just share so that everybody else can have some idea. I'll take a picture of my little thing that I got in my house, the little board that we make. It's pretty big actually. It's not a little board, but and then what kind of like how are you leaving a legacy currently? Like what is your values and your principle that you currently have in your life? Share that too. Let everybody know what your values are and what your principles that you're living by. Because I'm gonna be honest, anyone who's a father here, also who is a mother, you're leaving your kids some form of principles and value. That's your legacy, not the money. Because if you don't teach them how to manage money, they're going to waste it anyway. So it's really pointless at the end of the day. It's pointless. So how you living your life today will determine how they will live their life later. And for those who don't have children, how you live your life is going to determine how you're going to be successful. Right? You don't become a millionaire because you want to be a millionaire. You have to become that person, and then you become a millionaire. Right? A person who operates efficiently, who is um, you know productive, who's focused, who prioritize their tasks accordingly, who don't spend their money. Like one of the trait of someone who has good money management, who is successful, has millions, is a person who manage their money, right? Know how to manage money. So, do you know how to manage your money? That's a good question. If you don't, then you better start learning how to because everything is learned. You can learn anything, all right? Don't say that you're bad with money. If you say you're bad with money, that's what you're gonna get. Say I will be good with money. I am good with managing my money, and then you'll be able to manage your money. And how you do that, you look at your money every day. You look at how much money you take in and how much money is going out. And when you're conscious of that, you become a better money manager. All right, guys. Any questions? Any feedback today regarding the advice? I recommend showing up at 9, at 8, because we do go through some stories that I share, and it helps kind of give you a little bit more insight on why it's important that we be intentional with our time. Because in life, we could die in any moment, and every time there's a death that happens, it's a reminder that we have to, be more, I guess, present with the things that we're doing, more intentional with the things that we're doing. Right? Any feedback? You guys have any thoughts? Any questions when it comes to mine? Yeah. A mission statement is yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, it outlines a lot of the values and principles in your life. Like, this is how I want to live. This is Ben's mission statement for his life. Like, treat your life like a business. Every life should have a mission statement. Hmm. I'll show you when I take a picture later. I'll share it in the Discord. You guys get an idea. Family mission, man. It's a family mission, or Ben's mission, or Antoine's mission. Um, it just outline how you want to live your life. Sometime, if you don't have a father that was there, if you don't have a mother that was there, if you don't have a um, guiding light when you were growing up, you don't have any of those things. You might be missing some things. Like, you have some part of it, but not the whole thing. Dude, life is consists of so many principles and value that you have to live by. And that's how you become even more successful, is because once you start filling in those little things, like, health is probably my number one priority too. God is first, and then health, and then uh, business. Well, then my family, and then business, right? So there's so many things that you have to live your life by. The reason why God and health is important to me is because, I believe that we're created from something, and we have purpose in our life. And if something happens, I think it will always work out. I always believe that God will make it work out, no matter what happened. Things will work out. So it helps me, right? Helps me go through hard times, help me go through struggles, and it helps me value my life a little bit more. Um, yeah. Anything else? Any questions? Any feedback? Mhm. Yeah. So one thing I want to let everybody know is that you're giving money to do something with it, right? The money that's given to you is something that you can use. So some people will buy things, but others will spend in learning. So you can choose. You have a choice now, and sometime you make bad choices because you don't know what good choices are, because you were never taught to make good choices. And so, because when you're now when you're aware of your money, your finances, you think like, okay, if I buy this thing, would it make sense? Or if I invest in my knowledge, would my wealth grows even more, right? So sometimes people don't think about that. They're like, "Hey, let's go get the new iPhone. It just came out." I'm like, you really? You need a You need another one? You already got the 14. Do you really need the 16 right now? Right? So because we're not aware, because we're not conscious of money management or making good choices, we end up making bad choices because we're around the wrong people making bad choices, or we weren't taught how to make good choices that benefits us. So that's why we have this community. That's why we're here, because we want to help each other make good choices. And that's really the most important thing, is because without the people that I had in my life, from my first business partner, from my, you know, my mom, some of the friends that I have, always reminding me, like, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. Like, I never got into hard drugs because of one experience in my life. Why? Because the girl who told me, like, hey, yeah, we went to this party, this girl did some X. Yeah, she died. And I was like 16 at the time. I was like, okay, I'm not doing that. So from that, I was afraid of dying. So I was like, okay, I'm not doing hard drugs ever in my life. That was something that I learned because somebody told me that somebody died from doing hard drugs, and I was like, oh shoot, that's serious. And that's why I never touched it. And that was a life experience that I experienced through somebody else versus me going on and experiencing and like, oh, it's okay, right? You try one time, and then you're like, yeah, it's okay, I'm alive. Then you go try again and again. Next thing you know, you're stuck, and that's what happened. And so you can pay money to learn, and it shortcuts your life. I think spending your money for knowledge is probably worth more than spending your money on things. Seriously. And then you can use your money to help others too. You can donate to charity and things like that. And there's a lot of value out of that too. The more you give, in the Bible, it talks about the more you give, the more you will return. Those who are stingy will their world shrink. That's what they talk about. When you're stingy with your money, your world will shrink. Or when you're stingy with everything in your life, like when you're stingy with your energy, your time, your world will shrink. That's just what it is. All right, guys. I don't want to take too much time, but take control of your week, man. This week is good, no matter the storm, hardship, and struggle that you guys have in your life, man. We all have struggles and storms in our life, but man, sometimes you just got to get through it, right? Just get through it, because the river is going to keep flowing. Your life is going to keep going, regardless if you like it or not. All right, guys. Uh, have a wonderful week. We'll touch base again next week, and if anyone has any struggle in their life, definitely take consideration to share it with a group member here. If you guys haven't developed a relationship with anyone in here yet, I suggest uh, starting. Find somebody that you're interested in, reach out, and just connect. And then that way you have someone you can share the same mindset, the same vision, the same goals together. Right? Awesome. Yeah. There should be the general channel. I believe it was. Men, do you know the channel that we normally post our wins? Yeah, just I I say let's just share it in the win channel, because to me, knowing your intention, like knowing your values and principles, is a win. I think that's a win, man, because some people are just not sure where they go, where they are in life, not sure how they want to live. I want to live a certain way, and then I'm going to live by that. That's my value, my principle, right? So you want to have something you want to live your life by, and then you transfer that knowledge over to your children if you have kids, or you transfer that to your partner if you have a partner. Life is a business, so treat it that way. Have a mission. All right, guys. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful week. Have a great have be grateful every week, every day. Okay. All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye bye. Bye everyone. Hmm. Hmm.